Welcome to the Bruins Benders podcast. It's season 3, episode 6, our Centennial episode 100, and it's brought to you on the Inside the Rink podcast network. InsideTheRink.com. Here's the one-stop shop for all your NHL and ECHL news, insight, and analysis. Follow on X at inside_the_rink. Download the Inside the Rink app. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button, if you will. You can get all of our content right there on YouTube. Smitty can tell you how to sign up for ESPN Plus.
Yeah, you can sign up for ESPN Plus by going to Inside the Rink website. Go to insidetherink.com/ESPN and sign up today. I have ESPN Plus and I love all the college sports, UFC, and now NHL hockey. So sign up for ESPN Plus at insidetherink.com/ESPN today so you don't miss any Bruins action. One last time, sign up at insidetherink.com/ESPN.
And Maddie and Smitty are here with you in some quick Bruins notes. Milan Lucic's out a couple of weeks per Jim Montgomery with a lower body injury after taking that shot in the foot. Jelko Blauko is out about a week with a fracture and some swelling around the eye. Danton Heinen was practicing this morning and on the fourth line. Patrick Brown was sent down and then recalled from Providence, and Ian Mitchell has just passed through waivers and will probably be sent down to Providence.
Yeah, some Lucic, tough break for him. Takes the shot, Gigi scores, so I guess not all bad there. But he kind of gave that fourth line a little bit of an identity, and without him, they struggled a little bit there with Patrick Brown inserted. And then Lauko, Jesus, lucky because takes a skate, could have been in the eye, might have lost his vision, lost his eye. So really lucky that he's only going to be out about a week. And then Heinen, I think he'll add a little bit. He's we've talked about it before. He's no great shakes or anything, but he knows how to play. He's responsible defensively, and he can chip in offensively. So I'd rather have him than Patrick Brown. But with Lucic and Lauko out, you need them both. So Heinen, Brown, and Beecher will be the fourth line there. And then Mitchell, I didn't think he really showed very well at all in the games that he was in. So I don't mind seeing him go somewhere else.
His analytics were rough to say the least.
Yeah,
a lot of pink and red in those charts. And so Ian Mitchell had 2 games, wasn't very good. Obviously good insurance. They seem to have some depth on defense. Zaboril's still sitting around. I mean, so they have some guys who played in the league. So I guess a guy good to have around. Nobody has any cap space. No one's certainly going to use it on Ian Mitchell. So good to have him down in Providence, I guess. And then the Danton Heinen thing. I mean, I'm not as big a Danton Heinen guy as everybody else seems to be. He's fine, but this is a defensive first team now, your Boston Bruins, and he definitely fits well in that sort of scheme on the fourth line, which will only play 10 or 12 minutes anyway. So that's fine. We'll see what kind of deal it is, and they'll have to play some salary cap gymnastics there with people. But he'll be there for a short time and then probably have to be sent through waivers when other guys get healthy again. And we'll see. But and also I want to get your thoughts on Frozen Frenzy. How did you like that whole experience?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the NHL doing that again, or doing it a few times a year or however they want to do it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I like the whip around action kind of thing, taking you to when there's goals in games or exciting moments. So I don't have any problem with any of that. And I thought the coverage overall was pretty good. I think Poitras and Kevin Weeks both do a pretty good job, around the league. So yeah, I was happy with it overall. I thought it was a pretty good take for hockey fans.
I would be okay with a Frozen Frenzy on New Year's Day with the Winter Classic being the headliner. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. I liked it too, and I think doing something like that can only be good for the league.
Sure.
So I liked it. People are all in an uproar about the scheduling and how there's no one game here and then 16 games and then one other game. I mean, they have to highlight. You have to give teams you're playing all the teams in one night. You're not going to play all the teams the night before or the night after, too.
Right.
So I don't know what people are all bent out of shape about. They're
Yeah.
trying to highlight their new thing. So, that's that. It needs to be kind of standalone. So I don't understand what people are all bent out of shape about it.
Hey, you want
Um,
everybody to play back-to-backs the next day
yeah,
too? Yeah, let's
yeah.
go.
So,
Let's
so
go
it's
16
fucking
games.
sloppy.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go 16 games, and then we'll go 10 games and get
yeah,
20 teams
yeah,
back-to-back. That's a great
yeah.
idea.
That's a
No, I
great
mean,
idea. I
they
mean,
they handled it fine. They handled it well. The people that were complaining that there was only one game the next night obviously didn't watch the night before. You
no,
fuckers.
no, no.
So, settle down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was a little bit of an unnecessary criticism
Yeah.
for them. All right, weekend review, and the Bruins had that 4-game road trip. Started on the West Coast at San Jose on October the 19th, and a 3-1 win. Now 12 straight wins over the Sharks. That's one shy of the longest active streak in the NHL. Linus Ullmark, 26 saves. Van Riemsdyk, Pasternak, and Marchand were the goal scorers, and a decent start. Although they didn't play particularly well in any of these games, I thought for
No.
parts of it, a grinding win for them.
Yeah, and I think this is what the season's going to be. You're getting a preview there out on the West Coast of what the year is going to look like. It's going to be grinding win. They're going to frustrate you at times when they don't play well against bad teams. But their defense is solid and their goaltending is really, really good. Probably the best in the league. Best tandem in the league. So that's how they're going to have to win games. And it may not be pretty at times. But they got the job done, and they got the 2 points, and they did it throughout the road trip.
Yeah, I'll tell you, last year was a different year where the puck moved and they scored tons of goals and they seemed to blow teams out all the time. And it was a really, exciting brand of hockey, entertaining, sometimes not, the, for the weak of heart, they they would, give up odd man rushes and play an open style, but they had enough talent to blow people out. This
Mhm.
year it's going to be much more tighten it up, grind it out, trap in the neutral zone, dare I say, just really their defense is good and deep. Their goaltending is excellent, and their forwards have coached well to play good defense, good back checking. I mean, David Pastrnak back checked a couple times the other night. I mean, that says that they're really making an emphasis on it. So this is how they're going to have to play to win. And it might be, dare I say, a recipe for success in the playoffs. Because if they play this way, this is more of a playoff brand of hockey that wins in the postseason.
I agree with you 100%. I think it could be, getting them ready for the postseason when you really kind of have to buckle down and protect leads and pay attention to the defensive details and their penalty killing has also been excellent. That's another thing come playoff time that they'll really need and able to win games then. So a promising beginning,
Mm.
even though they haven't really played up to their potential at this point.
For sure, a 96% on the penalty kill and a second in the league. I think it's just given up the one power play goal so far.
Mhm.
All right, 10-21. It was at the Kings in LA, probably the best team on their schedule yet. 4-2 win. Brad Marchand, 2 goals. Pasternak, and then Morgan Geekie has his first as a Bruin. Jeremy Swayman solid with 32 saves, and the same kind of rinse and repeat from the Bruins.
Yeah, it was very similar type of game. They didn't play particularly well, but found ways to win and scored goals when they needed to score them. And Swayman was excellent in this game, really, really good to hold the Kings kind of off the score sheet. Well, not off the score sheet, but to only 2 goals on 32 saves, 34 shots.
Yeah, Kings are good. I mean, they're a good team, and I think it was Anze Kopitar's record-breaking game too. It
Yes.
was 1293 or 1297, something like
Yep.
that, approaching 1,300 games, and it's a good quality team. And the Bruins have had a favorable schedule, and this was the one game I thought that they would drop. To be honest, I thought that they go into LA and lose. They haven't had great success against LA here and there. Seem to be a bigger, heavier type of team with some speed and not the greatest matchup for the Bruins, but they get the win nonetheless. Back-to-back nights now at Anaheim on 10-22, a 3-1 win. And Matt Poitras was the story. Eventual game winner, 2 goals. Linus Ullmark, 30 saves. Not the best effort, but again, another grinding win against a team that's young and struggling to score in Anaheim.
Yeah, I thought the Bruins looked kind of slow and kind of out of it for the most part. And then, they get the goal to tie it, uh, being down 1-0, and then Poitras with the goal to put them up 2-1. And it really, if it wasn't for the kid, I don't think they win this game. I mean, he was the difference. He brought some enthusiasm, and he was the difference in the game, and allowed them to get this win against a kind of young Anaheim team that was probably tired of losing, I would say.
Right. And here's the good news. This is the second night of a back-to-back on the West Coast, and Poitras played maybe his best game of the trip. So, you're thinking about wearing down, and we had some, questions about it, leaving Boston, and, didn't have the greatest game in the last game in Boston, and looked like he might be, sensing some, the physicalities kind of getting to him a little bit, but he had his best game in a second night of a back-to-back. And then went to the 2 nights later at Chicago on October the 24th, Bruins 3-0 win. And he has an absolute highlight reel goal, blows by the defense, shows his speed, shows his finish, all in one motion. And it was a terrific goal, shutout for Swayman. And the Bruins trailed for just a minute and 24 of the entire road trip.
That's pretty good. That's a recipe for success, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Get a lead and hold on to it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's really what you're looking for from your team. Even though I still don't think they've been starting great in games for the most part. But they're finding ways to win, and they're getting a lead and clamping down, and playing solid defensively, and the goaltending's just been really, really good. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, a really nice finish to the road trip. They looked again in Chicago like they were kind of slow, and it was the last game of a road trip. They didn't seem like they had the focus mentally. I thought Marchand and Pastrnak both were terrible in this game. Couldn't even really complete a pass. Like, puck was like exploding off their sticks, and they just didn't play well. And it was really, kind of the supporting cast that kind of helped them grab this win. So that's an encouraging sign and a nice way to end the road trip.
I mean, it might not be something they do because of their depth, but I'm not opposed to giving Marchand a night off, second night of a back-to-back. I'm not opposed to it. Like, he's getting old. He's off 2 surgically repaired hips. I wouldn't mind him every once in a while on the second night of a back-to-back or on the end of a road trip like this, just to give him a scratch and give him a night off, because you really need to preserve him. And I get a little concerned because I think you see his age at times. So I would keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be, again, if you're up in the standings and you're pretty comfortable, I wouldn't mind just giving him a night off and throwing another guy in there and just seeing if he can win a 2-1 game and move on to the next game and get and preserve him a bit. So
I don't think they'll do that, but I wouldn't be opposed to them limiting his minutes some.
Right.
Instead of playing him 20 minutes a night, play him, 13 minutes. And, then, you still have the ability for him to, if you need him to break a game open or whatever it is. But yeah, I they probably wouldn't outright scratch him because he's the captain.
Right.
I don't think they would do that, but
Right.
I really could see them trying to preserve him by kind of limiting his minutes in some of these games.
And the ice time makes me think of this. It's interesting. David Pasternak's time is down a couple of minutes from last year. He was at 19.5 last year a game, and he's at 17.55 per game now. So I think that's helping him some, because last year I think they played him too much at times.
I think so too.
I think it caught up to him at the end there. All right, 7 Chirps is brought to you by Lops Brewing. Lops Brewing and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers, open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS to get 10% off your online order. Go to lopsbrewing.com and follow them at Lops Brewing for new beers and events. And chirp number 1, Jake DeBrusk, late for a team meeting. He gets scratched in the game against LA, responds the next night. We've talked about this on another pod, but is this concerning at all to you?
It is concerning. He hasn't started the season well, and then he's late. We've talked about it a little bit. I don't think that it's his first offense if they kind of blowing him up in the news and in the press. To me, that screams of, it may have happened once or twice before, and maybe they gave him, you know, uh, a couple of passes or a pass, and then now it's coming out that it's happened, and it's not a good sign. He did respond well. He did own up to it in the press and the media. He didn't make any excuses. All of that is good. But you have to worry about the fact that he's supposed to produce for them, and he's really kind of in one of those down stretches where Jake can go 10, 15 games without scoring a goal, and they need more from him for sure.
Right. And I think that I've heard that they've done this buddy system kind of system now this year where they pair up guys and hold them accountable, make sure they get to team meetings and on time and all that stuff. And I think that Jim Montgomery, one of his really focuses this year is obviously being a little more heavy handed with things as he was last year. And I think he
Mhm.
realizes that with Bergeron gone, he probably has to put his thumb on that a little bit more. And I think you're right. I think this is setting an example. The Bruins never really come out and rip guys in the media or tell you the honest truth in the media. And for them to say that and just to come out and say, yeah, late for a team meeting, scratch punishment was kind of alarming to me too. And I think it's a great point. I think that he has to be a repeat offender, or he has to be one of the guys they're making an example of, especially with younger guys in the locker room with Beecher and Poitras, and
Mhm.
new guys in the locker room too, where you have to sort of lay the law down. And I think that this is a good point. Um, and Montgomery was he's a recovering alcoholic. He was, he's a guy that if guys are out at night and this type of thing, and he just needs to button that thing up. And I think he's more focused on it because of his own experiences. So I think that this is a good point that I think it's DeBrusque probably being, um, just kind of loose with being late. And he says he's not a morning person, but Jesus, it's hockey. Like the games are at 7 o'clock at night.
Right,
Like it's so and he's 20. He'll be 27. Like it's not like he's 19
right.
either. So this is kind of a who you are thing. And if he's looking for a new contract, I wouldn't put it by the Bruins to go to the table and say, "Hey, we've had to discipline you a couple of times. You made a trade request.
Mhm.
We've had to manage you. And it can't be good for him. And it'll be interesting to see how. I still think they'll resign him, but I wonder what he gets now on the open market because of these types of things. Can you really rely on him at the end of the day? And again, he hasn't performed that well, and he responded okay. Had an assist, had played with some jump the night he came back, but still not the threat that he was last year, the last couple of years, and needs to get on the board, needs to be more seen out there. So I think this is I'm a little concerned too, just because I think it's the whole makeup. I think it's the whole picture, and I like Jake, and he seems to be a likable guy, and his teammates love him because they got behind him when he was requesting all sorts of trades, and he's miserable, and he wants out, and the players still loved him, which says a lot.
Mhm.
So, I don't think it's a bad guy situation. I think it's, you just need to have some more discipline. It's not, you have to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes. All right, chirp number 2, Matt Poitras, first 3 goals in the National Hockey League. I mean, he has to stay now, right? And not only because he's performed, but because who the hell else do you put there if you send him?
Yeah, I mean, he does have to stay. I mean, it's not like you can move Patrick Brown up to the second line
No,
center and play with
no.
those people. I mean, he has 4 points in 6 games. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't send the kid down when he's producing at the NHL level. I mean, he single-handedly won the Ducks game for them, and scores a big goal in the Chicago game too. I mean, he's not just scoring when it's a blowout. The games are tight, and he's making plays that help the team win games. So you can't get rid of a guy who's helping the team win games. It just
Mm,
doesn't set a
right.
good example for anybody. Yeah, this guy's helping us win, but we're going to send him back to juniors now so he can play in golf and set the assist record. Like,
Mm.
you know, let's have him help the big club win important hockey games instead.
Yeah. Three goals and 11 shots, 27%. He's third on the team in goals expected goals percentage. He's a little under 50% now on faceoffs, but he's been really good. He's playing about 14 and a half minutes a game, and he's been real noticeable out there. And again, he was a big factor in the last 2 wins. And without him,
Absolutely.
boy, they have even less offensive explosion. Like, I don't know, like, you're right. I don't know who the hell do you put there? You can't you don't move Geeky in there and bump guys up, and you're going to be really thin offensively if you don't have him out there. He'll burn a year of the ELC, and that's just, you got to live with it. Because he goes back to Guelph. It does him no good. You are a worse team. It's
Hmm.
just, you, even if you want to send him back because you want to stretch the thing out and not have to do it, you have to. I mean, you have to keep him here because he's one of the best rookies in the league
Yeah,
right now. I mean, you can't
he is.
just send him. It's just insane, especially when he dominated that league, and he will get nothing out of it.
He won't.
So,
So here's a stat. Among a pool of 654 NHLers this season, Matt Poitras ranks 42nd overall in 5-on-5 high danger chances generated per 60 minutes at 5.86. So
wow. Wow.
out of 654 NHLers, 42nd in 5-on-5 high
Wow.
danger chances. I mean, you can't get rid of him. You just
No,
can't. I
no.
mean, he's doing too many good things. And another thing, and we didn't mention this before, but I thought his LA game was maybe one of his worst games.
Right.
And you're like, okay, maybe, physicality, maybe he's hitting the wall. And then on the second night of a back-to-back in the very next game, he responds.
Hmm.
And he's done it every single time so far when
Hmm.
there's been a question. His first game was pretty good. His second game wasn't great. Then in the third game, he kind of responds. Then he doesn't do so well. Then he responds again. Whenever there's a challenge or a question of whether you think he belongs here, he responds.
Hmm.
And if that's going to be the case, he has to stay. He just does.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think people are already trying to compare him to Bergeron. I think it's more of a Krejci thing because that's what Krejci would do. Krejci would have a game, you're just like, ugh, just not much there, and all of a sudden, he'd come back and have 3 points, or he would come through in the postseason. He would just be under the radar, really good, whenever you questioned him. And Patra plays with incredible confidence for a kid who's 19. He gets in there. He's fearless. He's not intimidated. He's played with everybody. It seems, they've moved him around the lineup with different line mates, and he's made Trent Frederick look better. Like, it's, I mean, God bless.
He's
So
really good
it's
along the wall too, and
yeah,
he wins pucks like you and he's a little bit chippy too. Like I watched a
yes,
few scrums where he was giving people shoves after, not that he's going to push anybody over or anything.
right, right.
He's 170 pounds soaking wet,
Mm.
but he'll mix it up, and he a lot of times he comes out with pucks. The puck seems to follow him around, and with good players, he kind of knows where the puck's going to be and can dig it out of there and finds ways to make plays. He's really calm. Just watching some of his passes, like between feet and sticks, and he really has really good vision. It's just he's kind of mature beyond his years. It seems, at least in a hockey sense, where he can really see the game and see what's kind of going to happen next. His anticipation and his hockey sense is really, really good for a kid that age.
Yeah, and I think the next step is to play him more on the power play. Try him in the bumper, whatever. Put him in the Bergeron spot or whatever. The power play has not been good. And if he's your best playmaker out there, best playmaking center anyway, then you got to put him out there more times in the power play, I think. And he's pretty good defensively. Like, he's not just a kid who's out there trying to score goals and make flashy plays. He's not Trevor Segras. He's out there, playing good defense and blocking shots and responsible. And that's what's keeping him out there too. Um, Chirp three. Okay, even strength offensive zone time percentage. And this is the one caveat I have for you, is that the Bruins are 19th in even strength offensive zone time. Haven't been great 5-on-5, haven't been possessing the puck enough 5-on-5, even though they're 6-0. And they're at 48 or 49.3%. The top team is Carolina at 59%. So they're 19th in even strength offensive zone time percentage, and this is through October 23rd, so it does not include the Chicago game. But it is kind of an area of concern because 5-on-5, they haven't been great.
No, I agree with you. They haven't been great. And I think, some of it is sloppiness, some of it's the starts, some of it's guys probably trying to get used to guys. There have been a lot of lineup kind of juggling to try to see if they can find chemistry. They have a lot of new guys on the team. They have guys making stupid plays, stupid
Right.
passes, blind passes. Charlie Coyle gets away with one in the D zone in Chicago the other night where he throws it absolutely gorgeous behind the back
It was a beauty.
to Connor Bedard, who rips one top shelf. I mean, if he was
Right.
on if he was on the Blackhawks, it's a highlight reel pass, but
Mm.
he's not. He's on the Bruins, and he just threw it into the slot for no
Right.
fucking good reason.
Right.
They mentioned on the broadcast that they thought the pass was for Forbort, and he didn't kind of jump up in the play.
Yeah, he just kind of sat back. Yeah.
And that could be part of it. And again, you go to Forbort not really being
No.
a fit with this team's kind of stylistically how they want to play. But either way, they're not really on the same page just yet, a lot of them. So I think that's probably part of the issue. Part of it could be winning faceoffs. You get into the offensive zone, you lose a draw, and they clear it. Bergeron was such a master there. He's winning offensive zone draws, and you get to keep possession. You get the puck down low, so forth and so on. If you're losing more draws than you're winning, then you don't have possession, and that's a problem. So there's kind of a bunch of little things there, but they do add up to a concern that they need to be better 5-on-5, 100%.
Yeah, and how much of it can be like you're so conscious of defense now you're just flipping it into the corner,
Right.
instead of trying to make it a play. Like last year, they were making plays almost to a fault. They'd turn it over, whatever,
Yeah.
but they would make plays to get into the zone, keep the puck, and so forth. Maybe they're making the safe play now, dump it in the corner, lose possession, So that's true too. I mean, I don't know. I think it is a lot of different things. And the fact that you lost two really good centers,
Yeah.
that play really well 5-on-5. So that's a problem too. But luckily their power play has been terrible, but luckily their penalty kill has been excellent, and they've been opportunistic. They've scored 3 goals a game, about 3.3 goals per game, and they've made it count. They won all games because they don't give up. They've given up 7.
They've given up 7 goals in 6 games. That'll win you most. That'll win you most games.
Doesn't matter when you possess the puck.
Yeah.
All right, chirp 4. Here is a chart, 2022-23. So last season, distance skated per 60 minutes, even strength by defenseman. Number 1, Charlie McAvoy has skated 9.3 miles last season.
Holy shit.
9.3 miles, just ahead of, actually tied with Noah Hannafin, the Calgary Flames.
That's per 60 minutes?
Per 60 minutes, 9.3 miles.
So that's 9.3 miles a game?
Total distance skated by an individual player during the current season when the game clock is running.
Holy crap.
A minimum of 21 minutes of average ice time. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
9 point.
He does. He is kind of everywhere. He does. He's all over the place. So,
by far.
Jesus.
Because 45th ranked is Hampus Lindholm. That's the next Bruin. And then Dmitry Orlov, who's not on the team anymore, but last year he was 54th. And those are your three defensemen that represented the Bruins. But that's a lot of ice time. That's a lot of mileage.
A lot of mileage, during your ice time. So you wonder if he needs to kind of conserve and pick his spots a little bit more to kind of limit.
Here's a question: who the fuck tracks this? Who watches him skate in circles all night long with their map my walk or whatever the fuck it is, map my skate and track this shit?
There has to be some kind of program or chip in the helmets or something that makes it easy for them to do this. It can't be just some guy with a hamster wheel in his closet.
No, it's not Caleb with his fucking Apple Watch.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Chirp 5. Bruins have played just one team with a winning record. That was the Kings. Does that temper your excitement at all?
Uh, I mean, to a degree, but at the same time, you win the games that are in front of you. You beat who you're supposed to beat. You go on the West Coast, on a West Coast swing, and you come out of it 3-0 and 4-0 in the trip. I mean, Carolina went out to the West Coast did a similar trip, and they came back 2-2.
Mhm.
And nobody's saying Carolina's a bad team. So you win the games that are in front of you. The Bruins have done that. I think there's still, like we said just a little while ago, there's a bunch of new guys on the team. They have a bunch of different line combinations that you're still trying to figure things out. Now they got a couple guys hurt. So, they're trying to kind of find their way here as the season, gets going. So, any points that you can bank early in the season, especially when teams are still kind of finding their legs and you're kind of finding your identity as a club, I think that's all gravy. That's all good news to me.
To me, and I'll die on this hill. I like the way they're winning because it's more defensive. It's responsible defensively. They're not scoring a ton and not off 5-on-5. They're not playing great, but they're still winning. Like they're finding ways to win. They're learning how to win when they're not playing well. And I don't care who you're playing. And if I can quote the great Red Sox manager Jimmy Williams, you just got to play a schedule. That's
Yeah.
all. Got to play a schedule. The schedule is what it is. You can't determine what your schedule is.
No.
So if these teams suck ahead of you, then it'll catch up to you. It all balances out. You'll play a bunch of good teams soon, but you have to win these games. Like you said, if you went 3-3 here, then people would be like, "Oh, geez, 3-3 against a really soft schedule. That's terrible." I mean, it's being really nitpicky to
Yeah.
do that and unfair when you can't. Short of winning every game 8-0, there's nothing you can
Right.
do about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you can do about it. They had the best case scenario, 6-0. So, that's all you can do when you play these teams. So, I get it. People wanna be pessimistic and rip the Bruins, and some people probably don't wanna believe that they're still good, which I think is true. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, "They're missing the playoffs. They suck. They don't have any centers. They're fucking terrible. Their goalies won't be as good," and all that. And their narrative was wrong. So
Yeah. I
now
mean,
they have to
they're
do this.
they tied the Bruins record with the 38-39 team for the best start in team history.
Mhm.
They didn't even start this well last year when they had
No.
4,000 points.
Right, right, right.
And they also either tied or beat the record for a President's Trophy winner for
They
the
beat
next
the record.
following
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
So they beat that record, and they're one of only 3 teams in the league that are undefeated. And I
Mhm.
don't know, it may have changed last night. I don't think so, but it may have.
Yeah, it's the same, I
Um,
think, yeah.
so, they can't do any better than they've done. So
No,
give them a fucking break, huh?
yeah. I mean, it's just the same typical cynical, they haven't played anybody and well, I mean, we'll see now. I mean, they've got the Wings coming up, and I think
Mhm.
that'll be a good game on Saturday. This game right here against Anaheim, danger zone.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Danger zone. It
Yeah.
is. This is a tough one. Chirp 6, do you have to think about splitting up Marchand and Pastrnak on the power play?
I would consider it just because you can't have 2 guys out there at the same time turning it
Turn the
over at the
puck over,
level that they're
right?
turning it over.
Right,
I mean, you give the puck to either one of them right now on the power play, and they make a bad decision with it.
right,
They
right.
make a bad decision with it. It's almost immediate.
Mhm.
Like, they can't just pass it back up to McAvoy, or it's
Right.
always like seam pass, or Marchand will try to hold the thing to make a play. Just move it around quick.
Mhm.
You're not going to beat a guy one-on-one in a power play situation when everybody's in a box. Like, they're waiting for you to do something else. The other guy closes when you're, it just so many bad decisions. So
Mhm.
I would think about it. Maybe you put Poitras up on power play 1 and move, Pasternak or whatever. You move Marchand somewhere else. Just split them up maybe for a little bit to see if you can shake something up and maybe get them to realize that they're turning it over at an alarming rate right now on the power play.
Yeah, Marchand is Mr. Low percentage play. Like, he'll just fire a puck that has no chance, getting anywhere. Lose it off a stick, off a leg, out of the zone. Like I've been saying this about Marchand the last couple of years, is that he's not great on the power play. He's just not. Like he turns it over much more than he scores or generates a good play on the power play. Now, do they have any depth to go with somebody else there? Probably not, but they can realign the friggin' thing or coach it up a little bit to say, Jesus, Brad, like let's just not just fire the puck some seam pass through three guys. It's not going to get there. It's like my high school basketball team that just throws a pass through, three pairs of arms. There's no chance to get there.
Or
And that's
Jalen
what's
Brown last night.
right. Jalen Brown. Yeah. I mean, so that's the problem. And also their defensemen are, they aren't super great on the power play either. Like they don't have that defenseman who comes in, gains the line, like can really make a play, like, really top of the line, elite, like power play defenseman guy. They could really use one of those guys. But I don't know. The power play right now is a concern. It's going to be all year long because they don't have, other than Poitras, their centers aren't real playmakers. Like this is how they're going to miss Bergeron and Krejci the most is on the power play, and their power play struggles at times. So I just think that this has been an off and on problem for a few years now. And again, it's the turnovers and it's the, feeding Pasternak at the friggin' left slot, the one timer, like overemphasizing that and just not getting greasy with your, get it to the net, crash the net, get a rebound, bang it in, like to simplify the game type of thing. Just hasn't been there. And then chirp number 7. Ken, is it time now to address this foolish offsides challenge? That's 3 minutes later when a toe is half off the line and half not. And can we go in the neighborhood play on this friggin' thing? Like, and I know the Bruins benefited, but like you said, Charlie Coyle should have been punished for that. Just dumbass penalty, dumbass pass. And this is just the league taking goals away, which I've said a million times can't happen.
No,
Frozen Frenzy and Connor Bernard. You take the guy who you've highlighted, you've ball washed all season long so far. He scores a friggin' howitzer of a goal, and you take it away on Frozen Frenzy.
Yeah, take it
Oh my
away
Lord.
because somebody entered the zone 35 seconds earlier, by a toe in front of the
Look,
I hate the rule. I've always hated it. I hate the offsides challenge. I think it's terrible. It doesn't affect the plays when they happen, 35, 40 seconds later. Like either call it or don't call it right at the time. And to me, I have always said this, and I hate review in general. I hate it. I think the human elements, like if we're going to have review, like let's have, no guys on the ice and we'll just buzz down and stop the clock and we'll call the penalties that way and we'll do all the reviews like that. I hate review. I think it should be only for goals. And even those they get wrong. I don't think, scoring plays only. And get rid of all the rest of them. Get rid of the offsides challenge. I don't think the coaches should get a challenge. I don't think there should be an offside review. So to me, scrap the whole damn thing. But it's not up to me.
No, I mean, if you're clearly way over the line, that type of thing, that's offsides, but they never miss those. they never miss those offsides. No. But the problem is here, it's either two things. One, set a timer of like within 20 seconds or whatever it is, pick a time within 20 seconds of the play. Like it's done. You haven't left the zone. You haven't possessed the puck. Too bad. Like a delay type of thing. Or secondly, in the shadow of the line. Just like the red line, when they give you a little bit more, when you dump it in, same sort of thing. If you're around the red line, he's around the red line, the puck's around the blue line, then go ahead and it's a good play. Like that's that type of thing. But the essence of the rule is not to take a little C here and see and measure like where the puck was that's not the whole purpose of the rule. Purpose of the rule is not to skate in 5 strides before the puck goes in.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you could have possession of the puck and
I thought you could have possession of it, and even if your feet went in first, but you were deemed to have possession,
right?
Then or it's within possession, that was okay, and that looked like it to me.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a neighborhood play, like around the
Right.
second base bag in baseball back in the day. And baseball doesn't even do this anymore. And
No, because
baseball's
they can't,
ridiculous
because of
with
the
all that.
friggin'
It's like,
review.
oh, is his
Right,
toe on it? Is it not on it?
right,
Did he?
because of the review. The review
Yeah,
killed the neighborhood
yeah.
play.
I mean,
Right.
it is awful. All of it is
It is.
awful. Let's stop the game and look to see if the guy's, spike is touching the base, or if the guy's skate blade is touching the, the blue line or not touching it, or where the puck is. Is the puck on edge? Is the puck over the top of the blue when it's on edge? Like, if you just said it's in the neighborhood, who gives a flying fuck? Let's
Right.
play some offense. Then everybody would have a much better time at the game.
Again, it's not the essence of the rule. The essence
It
of the
isn't.
rule is to not gain an advantage by going a couple strides in before the puck.
Right.
Like, this is not the essence of the rule. You're not gaining an advantage from straddling the fucking line when the
Nope.
ball's just see here behind. Like, it's just not the essence of the rule. DraftKings Sportsbook, Boston's hometown sportsbook, is live right here in Massachusetts. You better alert Shane Pinto. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money line, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you or a loved one or Shane Pinto is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist, free and confidentially, 24/7. 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply, opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
All right, beauties and benders for this week. And beauty number 3 is the aforementioned Brad Marchand.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
4 goals and an assist on the trip. Seems to be getting back to his game. Not great on the power play,
No.
but Marchand is producing now. And they're going to need all the production in the world. They're going to need him to be a 30-goal scorer this year for sure.
Yeah, I agree. They will need that out of him. I didn't think he was good in the Chicago game at all, but the West Coast swing of that trip, he was really good, and obviously helped them get some W's there.
Sure. Number 2 is the great Matt Poitras.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
3 goals in his last 2 games. He has the juice, so to speak. As rookie goals leaders go, Poitras has 3. And then behind him is Connor Bedard, Adam Fantilli, Matthew Nyes, Marco Rossi, and Ty Carty.
Yeah, with 2 apiece.
2 apiece.
Yeah,
so he is ahead.
Bold prediction from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, he can hang in that Calder race a little bit.
He's in the running.
He's in there. And I believe right now, I think Logan Cooley, who I said would be up there with Bedard and Poitras, he is, I believe, the leading point getter right now for rookies. So,
it's a good group. I mean, it's a really good group.
It is a talented group of young guys. And if they wouldn't ball wash Bedard so much, maybe some of these other guys would get a little, little play, little airtime, little love.
Well, Fantilli with a fucking piss rod.
Oh yeah,
the other night for a goal. Like, that was a beaut against the team that didn't draft him. So that was beauty. That was a beaut. And then number 1 beauty is the Bruins goalie tandem of Swayman and Ullmark.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
The pairing of Ullmark and Swayman is off to a 6-0 start, has stopped 166 of 173 shots faced for a combined save percentage of .960. And it looks like, from what Billy Jaffe was saying, or was it Brickley, one of them said that he heard that the Bruins were really going to ride this group to the end of the season, not move any of them, and then see what happens after the year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really blame them if they're playing this well. They won the Jennings last year for combined goaltending or goals allowed or whatever the hell it is, as a tandem. So they have something special between the two of them. They have a really good relationship, obviously, with the goalie hugs, and and all that. So, if the Bruins are in it, I don't see any problem with keeping them all year long and trying to, make the most of it. But if they fall out, they should definitely consider moving one of these guys to, maximize their assets.
Isn't it part of the problem, though, in the postseason that the two of them are fairly equal? Like, isn't that part of the issue? Like, the last 2 years, Allmark has been spelled by Swayman
Yeah.
in the first round of the playoffs. One time because he wasn't good. Second time because he had a lingering kind of injury. But isn't it one of those things where you need a guy who's better than the other guy just to ride the goaltender? I don't know if it's a hindrance when it comes to postseason.
Here's another bold prediction from me. I think the
Okay.
Bruins, if they do make the postseason this year, will stick with the
The hot guy.
well, no, I think they'll stick with the swapping, the tandem.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
I think they're going to do it this year. I think the past few years when they haven't done it, it's kind of bit them. And I think that's what the goalies are used to. I think that's what the team is used to. And I think they will stick with it. I think they're going
That would
to,
be
I think
interesting.
they're going to, I think they're going to go back and forth, and it probably will open them up to some criticism, especially if they lose,
Sure.
when
Sure.
if one's playing good and the other one's not playing good.
Right.
But I think they'll stick with it. I really do. I think they're going to stick with it this year.
So a guy gets a shutout. He doesn't play the next game. You lose
Nope.
4-1.
I think they're going to,
Wow.
yeah, I think they're going to go
Cool.
every
Boy,
other.
is that is bold.
Just like they've done all year long this year.
Yeah, that's
I think
bold.
they're gonna go, or last year, I think they're gonna go every other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, so now we got the benders happening here, and we'll go. Number 3 bender is the league office.
I'm a bender.
So the ban on the Pride tape lasted barely 2 weeks. Travis Dermott called their bluff, and the league couldn't find him, because how do you find a guy for doing something that most people don't have a problem with, and was allowed not too long ago.
Right.
So he called their bluff, and then they were just like, "Yeah, never mind." We were just kind of kidding. You can do whatever you want. It's cool. But they just look like a Mickey Mouse operation. They look ridiculous. It's dumb. It should have never got this far anyways. If they wanted to get rid of the jerseys, the Pride jerseys, they could have just done that and just let people tape their sticks how they want to tape their sticks.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
tape, Pride tape,
Yeah.
breast cancer tape, Father's Day tape, doesn't matter.
No.
Whatever kind of, just let whoever the person is, the individual, decide how they want to do it for themselves.
Right. As long as it's not a uniform violation, or stays within the parameters of whatever, like doesn't give a team an advantage. Like it was an unnecessary rule that just caused unnecessary, bullshit.
Yeah,
And it's
headaches
just,
for the league. Headaches for the league, and
But
players
again-
have to answer questions about it. The media's in an uproar. Like it just made a whole PR headache for them that they didn't need, and it was completely unwarranted.
Can we get the fucking offsides right? Like, can we get the offsides challenge right?
Yeah, let's focus on that instead.
Jesus.
Let's focus on that instead. Bender number 2, Corey Perry.
I'm a bender.
He's kind of a rat. But he's a good player. He has been a good player in this league for a long time. But it was pretty sweet to see he gets beat by Poitras for the backbreaking goal to put the Bees up 2-0, and then he kind of takes a cheap swipe at Swayman late in the game there. And I love the response to this by Shattenkirk. It was a 3-0 game. There was a few minutes left, and he could have let that slide. He's a veteran. Perry's a veteran.
Yeah.
And end of the trip and end of the shift kind of thing. And he didn't. And he got tackled by Perry for it, but he stood up for his goalie. And as a new guy and a new defenseman and a veteran guy on the team, kind of showing how that should be handled. I really like that response by Shattenkirk to Perry, who, kind of little rat move there.
We've been saying that about the defense. Like, we want a little bit more from them on that. Like, don't take shit from people. Like, we want that. And I think that was a good sign. And he is a veteran guy. We've had our doubts about Shattenkirk. He's toward the end of the line. He was a good defenseman for a while in the league. Now he's a little older and so forth. His defensive pair partner is not great, but he's been okay. And
Yeah,
if he
he's playing
brings you
pretty good, I
that,
think.
then great.
He
Like,
really is. He's playing pretty good.
yeah, yeah.
So, and then the number one bender, of course, your buddy and mine, Radko Gudis.
Oh, Jesus.
He always sucks to me.
Yeah.
He's not a very good player, but he's a physical guy in teams like that. He took 2 penalties and was a -1 in the
Mhm.
game against the Bruins for the Ducks. Where were those calls during the series with Florida last season when he was just beating the fuck out of whoever he wanted to in front of the net and getting away with it all?
Mhm.
I'm still bitter about
They,
that.
they, I wasn't looking at the TV and I heard that he got an interference call, and I looked up at the TV like, "What?" Like, he never gets interference calls. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like, what
I
did he
mean,
have to do to get an interference call?
yeah,
This is
I really am still bitter about that whole thing and what he was allowed to get away with in the playoffs,
Mhm,
because they still call, a bunch of ticky-tacky stuff, and then they
mhm,
let that shit go,
mhm.
which just blows my mind.
It
I mean,
does.
that's the only reason he can stay in the league is because he does shit like that, and if he didn't, he wouldn't play. He wouldn't be on a
Right,
team because
right.
he can't really do anything else well. So the fact that they let that slide and this guy still has a job in the league is beyond me. But
Yeah, McAvoy got a call the other night. I think it was a Chicago game where it was kind of a hold, but kind of wasn't kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
I
you
saw that.
call that, but you
Right,
don't call him tackling guys in the slot, like tackling guys in this, like
tackling guys.
rodeo in the
Yeah,
slot.
yeah,
Like, it's just he's a piece of crap. Um, all right, the Centennial Spotlight, where we focus on the Bruins history. And you know what? The Centennial Spotlight this week is the Bruins Benders podcast was
oh,
made
let's go.
100 episodes of the Bruins Benders podcast over. This is our 3rd season of Bruins hockey doing it. Started in October of 2021. And we thank everybody who listens. Over 230,000 downloads of
Wow,
this very podcast over the 100 episodes. We're now on YouTube. Special thanks to the InsideTheRink.com podcast network and the folks over there uh,
absolutely.
who help us a ton, and our sponsors and all the great fans of the Bruins. And we keep growing every day, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. We are very thankful for all the people that listen and our sponsors and the people over at Inside the Rink that gave us
Mhm.
a platform to do this. That was really really nice and a good time. We enjoy doing it. So looking forward to 100 more.
You know what we should do? We should celebrate with beer. I think we should celebrate soon with some beer. I think that's a
I
good
think that's a good idea. We'll
yeah.
celebrate soon with some beers,
Mhm.
maybe at Lops Brewing.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
we
think
have.
so.
Should we sell it? Should we break the announcement? Should we
Oh,
do it?
let's you wanna break the announcement?
Should we do it now, or should we just tease it and maybe we'll break it next week?
Yeah, I think we'll tease it. We'll tease it. But a
Okay.
major announcement, how about this? A major announcement next week on this very program, uh, regarding us and hops and barley and the fine people at Loves Brewing.
Yeah, I love
There
it.
you go. There you go.
There you go.
All right, prospect spotlight in this week. It is 7th round pick from 2022. Jackson Edward, defenseman, signs a 3-year entry level deal worth 860,000 per season. Edward, not to be mistaken for Jack Edwards, is 10 games now for the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League. 2, 4, and 6. 2 goals, 4 assists. And the best part about him, a violent, quote unquote, violent player.
Oh, I love the sound of that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I love the sound of that.
Love it.
A little violence and a
Mhm.
little, 6 points in 10 games. I
Yeah.
mean, that sounds wonderful to me. Give
Yeah.
me
I
give
mean,
me a violent defenseman that can score,
yeah,
25 to 30 points in the NHL, and I am in. I am
absolutely.
sold.
6'2", 185. He was a guy who was drafted based on the fact that he was nasty. Like, he was
Mhm.
physical, and he had 110 penalty minutes last year. Like, he's nasty. He gets in your face. He fights. He gets after it. Maybe a little dirty on the edge too, whatever. and
Need
now his
more of that,
offensive game is
honestly.
coming. Yeah, we need more of it. We've talked about it. We need
Yep.
more of that in the system, and a guy like Adam McQuaid, who was a development player, one of the development guys in the league and helps the defenseman an awful lot. They need guys like him, and this guy
Mhm.
seems to be more like him. And if his offensive game continues to just come on, like they may have a 7th-round pick who's a steal, like who could be someone who develops, and she certainly has the physical game. And we've seen a lot of guys make some money and spend a lot of time in the league, not having much offense, but being nasty little pricks. You know what
Sure.
I mean? So that actually has some legs in the league. And maybe Jackson Edwards that guy, but they are investing in 3 years of him on the entry level deal. So good for Jackson, and he's a 7th-round pick in 2022. And soon we'll do a quick little recap. We have our top 30 prospects that are picked again. We've
Mhm.
reshuffled some guys, and we'll go through some of the drafts, the last 4 drafts. And there's quite a few players there that the narrative might be changing on the Sweeney drafts. Might be
I
changing.
hope it does. I mean, certainly, Poitras is
Yeah.
a hit. It looks
Yep.
like, and
Yep.
you have guys like
Beecher.
Lowry
Yep.
and Beecher playing in the league now.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Lowry on the cusp.
Yep.
So yeah, there could be some nice prospects there that could be coming up with the big club in the next few years. That would certainly kind of change that narrative.
Definitely, for sure, and the Bruins will need it. All right, the week ahead, the Bruins take on the Ducks. Danger zone game. The first game back home after a road trip, and it'll be tonight, 7 p.m. Thursday night against the Anaheim Ducks. The Bruins beat the Ducks 3-1. Just a few days ago. On Saturday, it'll be the Red Wings at the Garden, and then the Bruins play at the Garden again on the 30th against the Florida Panthers. So a little bit of a tougher stretch after the Ducks game. This one's going to be a tough one. This one's going to be, you might see a sluggish team tonight. You might see a team that's a little off kilter, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this one. I hope not, but this is going to be a tough one, I think.
It will be. It will.
Yes.
This will be a tough one. It's usually a scheduled loss, your first game back from a long road trip, and then you get a hot Red Wings team who with Alex DeBrincat and has 9 goals, I believe, already.
Yeah,
And
white
Dylan
hot.
Larkins has 9 or 10 assists already too.
Right.
So the Red Wings are playing pretty well. And then you get a Florida Panthers team in here who, ended your season last year. So they should have no problem getting up for that game. So,
Mhm.
a Ducks game that maybe on paper you say, oh yeah, that's a win. But coming off the road trip, maybe not. And then you get 2 teams that are playing pretty well. So this is a little bit of a tough week here for them. So it'd be interesting to see how they stack up against a little bit better competition here.
Sure, those boneheads who are blaming them for their own schedule can see how they're playing now in this 3-game stretch right here.
Right.
Go to InsideTheRink.com for Bruins Benders merchandise. There's shirts, there's hoodies. Grab yourself a Poitras shirt, a Potsy 51 shirt on there. Follow us on social media at Bruins Benders. We do game updates. We'll do them again tonight. Subscribe to the Inside the Rink YouTube page. Give us a subscribe and watch us on YouTube. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Our 100th episode. And go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.